going to talk about line plots now. Line plots is a word we use, those are words we use to tell about taking measurements and putting them or showing them in a special way, organizing them in a way for understanding, okay? We've done this a little bit already by putting measurements for the triangle sides, the square sides, and the rectangle sides. We put those into a graph last week. So we had line AB is 4 centimeters long, and we put that into a graph, okay? This is just you can measure or you can organize data in a graph, but you could also organize data on a line plot, okay? Just two different ways of organizing measurement or data information, okay? That's all it is. Let's take a look at this line plot I have behind me. You can see it starts at the 0. You see this funny little 2 lines right there? But then it starts with the first number that we see is 104. What does that mean? Does it mean that the first number in our counting system is 104? When we start counting, do we go 104, 105? No. Every time we count, we always start in our number system with 1. And we know it has to build to get to 104. We know we have to get to 10 times to get to 100. Then we have to count 4 more ones before we're at 104. So a lot has to happen between 0 before we can get to 104, right? Those 2 lines are showing that all of that has already happened, okay? But maybe the mathematicians who wrote your math book, they couldn't fit a line plot that really showed 0 all the way to 116 inside the size of your book, right? So they needed a way to shorten the line plot, but still let you know that that work between 0 and all the numbers between 0 and 104 were still there. So they came up with this little mark system, and that is what that's telling you. All those numbers between 0 and 104, they exist. They are there. They just didn't write them all out. They're counting on you and your special math knowledge, which you are very good at, and with all your number sense, to remember that all that is still there, okay? Even though we're showing 104 as our start, it's not really our start. 0 is our start, okay? But for the information that we're going to put on this line plot, we needed numbers in the range of 104 to 116. Those are our target areas that we're going to put information on the line plot on. So those are the ones we needed to see and be able to work with, okay? So if you were to measure the height of several different things, you can measure the height of this cube. Let's just go ahead and do that. I'm going to take my ruler. I'm going to make sure it has an even start with the end down here. And I'm going to measure, okay, it's about 3 inches, okay? Now I'm going to measure the height of my rectangular prism. Again, 0 start, lining up these 2 edges right here, the green edge and the ruler edge. They have to be exactly even. No one can't be longer, can't be shorter, has to be a match right there, right? To measure correctly or exactly. And this one is 5 inches. Okay. So the height of my cube, I'm going to write this down up here. My cube height of 3D shapes. Now I wonder why I wrote that up there. That's my title. Just like you have a title in a story that tells you what your story is going to be all about, the title of a line plot or the title of a graph needs to tell the main idea, what it's mostly giving, what the information is. Height of 3D shapes. Now we had the cone, and it measured 3, and we had the rectangular prism. I'm going to shorten that instead of writing the whole word. Whoops, can't see that, can you? Sorry. Rectangular prism, and it was 5. Okay, now we can continue to measure other 3D shapes. Here's the cylinder. Let's get the height of the cylinder. Even start measure, 6. Actually, I think that might have been closer to 5. I'm going to round. 5. Okay. It was 5 too, and that was our cylinder. Now, I can use something just out here in the world that's a 3D shape, like my eraser. See how he's got all his faces? He's totally a 3D shape object in the real world. So I'm going to measure his height Oh, piece 5 too. I need something that's not 5. Let's see what I can find. How about this basket? See what this is. 6. Okay? So I'm going to put my basket, which was a rectangular prism. I'm going to list it as the basket. It was 6. Okay. Now, what I can do is take these measurements and I can plot them or show them on my graph. And actually, we're going to pretend like the shapes that I used were much, 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 much bigger. And we're going to add to them. So we're going to add this so that we can fit in the range of our, there we go. Okay. So our cone, we're going to say, was 113. If our cone is 113 when we measured it, we need to plot it correctly on our line plot. So 113 would be right here. See how I put a dot right there? So I did this one. He's plotted. The next one was the rectangular prism, and he measured 115. So I'm going to find 115, I'm going to put a dot right there. Got him. Now the cylinder, he measured 115 also. Uh-oh, I've already got him on my line plot, so what can I do? I can show that two things measured 115 by stacking my dots. So now I've got my cylinder out there. The last one was the basket. It measured 116. So I'm going to come here to the very end and mark 116. I have plotted all of my measuring data on the line plot, okay? I might be able to make a line plot like this, or I might be given a line plot that has marks, measurement marks on it, and I might have to figure out a problem by reading the line plot. Something I can read about this line plot is the shortest or the one with the smallest height was the cone at 113. If we wanted to talk about how many we're measuring at 115, we would say there were 2 items that were 115, okay? If we wanted to talk about which had the greatest measurement, we could talk about one of them was 116. That was the greatest measurement. If we wanted to answer a question about how many total items the line plot is showing us the measurement of, we could count how many total dots are on our line plot. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 total items. Does that match over here? 1, 2, 3, 4. It does. Okay? So a line plot is just a way to organize information. It could be measurement information. It could be really any kind of information. But we used it in measurement this time. Just like a graph organizes our data, organizes our information.